You are listening to Auto and Operator Radio, where young IndyCar fans attempt to connect with other young IndyCar fans. Hi, I'm your co-host, Andrew Miller, and more importantly than my name is my age. I'm 28 years old, and I love the Verizon IndyCar Series, and you should too. Tell all your friends about it. There is some great racing going on here. Truly man and machine, and some also great drama outside the racetrack. You could do worse than having 28-year-old, outspoken, wealthy, and now successful open-wheel racer Graham Rahal dominate the proceedings like he did this past weekend. He spoke out against Lewis Hamilton's disparaging comments on the Verizon IndyCar Series. He dominated the proceedings there by having a classic road racing victory in race 1, pulling away and not letting anyone touch him, to winning from the second row of the grid, I believe, in race 2. Doing some great passes and also leapfrogging due to a good in-lap and out-lap and the pit stop sequencing to secure his victory therein, and withstood the pressure at the very end with a late caution due to 2 simultaneous engine failures. You could certainly do worse than Graham Rahal to populate this great series among the young fans and young potential fans due to his presence on social media. Again, his outspoken and relatively outlandish character. I mean, he's out there doing this, that, and the other thing, showing up to IndyCar Cars and Coffee, restoring minis, hashtagging everything in sight. He's great with sponsors, obviously. This guy needs to win a world championship and get IndyCar racing in the spotlight for young fans. No doubt about it. All over the United States, young hipster fans are looking to find their own niche sport. And especially if they're at all interested in motorsports, they would be, you would think they'd be thrilled to have something like IndyCar that is honestly so damn cool. They're giant go-karts. How could you not like them? So to discuss the weekend a little bit more in depth, completing the podium in race 1 was Scott Dixon in second and James Hinchcliffe in third. Scott Dixon's the Iceman. He may not be that exciting and he may not garner that many young fans, but that guy is truly one of the most talented racers in the world. Even with a heavily sprained left ankle, and remember, your left foot braking in these cars, and the Belle Isle is a very physically demanding track, not to mention 2 races right in a row. He has scored some very important championship points, securing that second place, although I'm sure he's getting tired of finishing second. But consistency pays in the Verizon IndyCar Series with such a variety of track configurations. The more consistent you are, the more in contention you will be for that championship title. Third place, the recovery drive of the year thus far, goes to James Hinchcliffe, man. Spun at the opening sequence of corners. Luckily didn't hit anyone or anything. There was a short-lived caution, and then he was able to make up ground with superior pace and strategy. And James was actually a source of validation to Graham Rahal as he was responding to a reporter's question, or a reporter's comment, rather, about Lewis Hamilton and what Lewis Hamilton thought, of course, about the IndyCar Series and the lack of driver talent, in his opinion. Graham simply responded that, hey, you got a guy like James who spins out in the first corner. In Formula One, he would have been done. But here, good strategy, fast race car, you pit man against machine, and because he was fast, he made his way all the way back to the podium. I can certainly understand that not every IndyCar race is as pure as we'd like it to be, as there's sometimes extensive cautions, like even Indianapolis 500 was, littered with cautions and crashes, and obviously that helps bring certain individuals up to the sharp end of the field that may not have been there. beforehand. But in the case of Detroit, there was not a whole lot of cautions. There wasn't a whole lot of external circumstances that would have kept Hinchcliffe from, that would have, I should have say, given it an extreme advantage to Hinchcliffe. Instead, Hinchcliffe just had great pace. And so Graham's point was, hell, I got to worry about somebody who spins out in the first lap. Whereas Lewis, he battles 2 or 3 cars. So I think that was some really good drama. And I think pitting a bit of a rivalry between IndyCar and Formula One is good. Because, in my opinion, not that Formula One is necessarily that popular in the U.S., but we need to create loud and proud open-wheel racers in the U.S. Because not that NASCAR is the worst thing ever, but it's the worst thing ever, right? I mean, at the end of the day, I couldn't think of a worse form of motorsports to have such a high level of popularity, right? But at the end of the day, their racers are connecting with their fans, and that's what we need to do. And like I said, you could do worse than having 28-year-old Graham Rahal dominate the proceedings, as he definitely garners interest from a lot of young fans. In race 2, Rahal had a much less straightforward race. Had a battle with Sato, had a battle with Ryan Hunter-Reay, which he made an awesome outside pass on. Ryan Hunter-Reay actually got beat up pretty good in that race. Will Power joined the fun, as did Newgarden, but in the end, despite any strategy that Penske threw at him, he was unsurmountable. Graham was untouchable. And that dominance is honestly something we've all been waiting for out of this young guy. He's been in the sport for 10 years now. And it's taken him that long to develop the necessary experience and skills and, continuity even with his team to reach his full potential. And I think we'll see him fighting for the championship this year. We're going to be moving on to Texas, and I think we can fully expect the Honda teams to be really, really quick. They were quick their last year, so if they were quick their last year, they're going to be lightning quick this year. Rahal, he won last year. You got to think he's going to be gunning for it immediately. Also, Andretti Autosport certainly has had an improved season overall, so I expect them to be a little bit more of a competitor this year, especially Sato and Rossi have been really consistent. So barring any issues for RHR, he'll be up there as well. But you can't forget about Mikael Loshin, who had also a great race in race 1 for Detroit anyways. He's always got balls on ovals. James Hinchcliffe, he wants to win it. He lost out by a few inches last year. I think Penske's going to have a hard time even finishing on the podium in Texas. So very much looking forward to it. Hopefully there's no weather issues. And hey, like, comment, subscribe. We are going to get more and more episodes as time wears on here. Bear with us. We're doing this very much on a part-time basis. We love every bit of it, but we need more feedback, more fans to help us drive the evolution of this podcast. Thanks for tuning in, and we will talk to you after Texas.